Welcome everyone to a session of math tutoring with the teacher. Today's information is going to be related to multiplication strategies, a big piece of what we'll be working on over the course of the next few weeks. When we're working on multiplication strategies, clear and concise notation is one of the expectations that we have for fifth graders. So we are going to hope that you will write your solution and all of the steps so that it can be easily followed, not only by us, but also by your peers. Every detail doesn't have to be shown, especially parts of the problem that maybe you do mentally. But at the beginning of the year, we'll ask to see more of your work than maybe toward the end. All right, so we're going to get started. These are some strategies that you may have seen when your peers shared some of their solutions for the problem of 35 times 28 that you did in class. The first strategy that someone may have used is to create an equivalent problem. In this strategy, you will see up here that this is the key problem that we are trying to solve. In this case, it's 35 times 28, just as it was in class. The very first step in creating an equivalent problem is to do just that, create an equivalent problem. You'll see that this person decided to take 35 times 28, and they used the strategy of doubling and halving. So 35 turned into 70. 28 was halved and is now 14. 70 times 14 for this student is a much easier problem to solve. From there, they then broke apart the different steps of 70 times 10 and then 70 times 4. In the end, they took their answers to 70 times 10 and 70 times 4, 700 and 280, and they were able to find a final product of 980. And in just 3 short steps, maybe even 2 that they had to think about, they are able to answer a solution to the problem. Another strategy that you may have actually seen demonstrated in class is called changing one number. When changing one number, we look at the original problem. Again, in this case, it's 35 times 28. This student took that 28 and changed it to a 30. 30 is a much friendlier number, a landmark number, and one that we're able to calculate with more accuracy. Again, this person is using clear and concise notation, and so we see that the very first step that they've done is to change the problem now to 35 times 30. 35 times 30 is something that they can calculate more easily and perhaps even know 35 times 3 in their head. From that point, this person recognizes that 35 times 30 is 35 times 2, too big, because we went from a 28 to a 30. So they've done this step as the next part. And again, in just 2 clear, concise notations, they were able to arrive at a final step. That final step includes taking 1,050, subtracting the 70 that was too much, because it was 2 groups of 35 too much. They were again able to arrive at the answer of 980. So changing one number is another strategy that you can use this year as a mathematician in 5th grade. The final 2 strategies are often, we have found, most comfortable for many 5th graders as they begin the year. These include breaking the numbers apart. Currently, there are 2 breaking number apart strategies. One is A. You'll find it here. It's currently covered up by this little smiley face. And so instead, at this point in time, we're going to focus on breaking the numbers apart, strategy B, which you see here. Again, you will see that this person has decided to break both of these numbers apart. B, both numbers are broken apart. Let's illustrate that a little bit more. In this situation, the 35 has been broken apart into 30 plus 5. Those are the parts of 35. 28, on the other hand, has been broken apart into the numbers 20 plus 8. It is with these 2 pieces, or these 2 numbers broken apart, that this person is able to use this strategy, and it's a strategy you might feel comfortable using this year as well. The very first piece that this person did was to use 30 times 20. The 30 comes from the 30 here, and the 20 comes from the 20 here. They are both the value of the digit in the tens place for this equation. The next step was to take again that 30, and this time it needs to be multiplied times 8. Together, these two steps are the same as 30 times 28. Afterward, the person then focuses in on the 5 from the 35. Here's our 5. We're first going to multiply it times 20, the 20 from the 20 plus 8. Next, we will again focus on the 5, and we will do the 5 from the 35 times 8 from the 28. All 4 of these different products from each of these steps will get added together in the end, and look at what you see. This person, using this strategy, also arrives at a product, the answer to a multiplication problem, at an answer of 980. This is breaking the numbers apart, B, for both numbers being broken apart. But there's another strategy that includes breaking the numbers apart, and this strategy is breaking the numbers apart, A, and you're going to see that over here. And breaking the numbers apart, A, one of the numbers may be broken apart and the other may stay together. So in this situation, you see that this person has decided to keep 35 as a whole number. They did not break it into 30 plus 5 at this time. 35 times 20. You might be saying, but where did that 20 come from? Well, the 20 came from this 28. Remember, in breaking the number apart, B, 28 is the same as 20 plus 8. So you can, in fact, break it apart. So the first step there would be keeping the 35 together and multiplying it times the 20 from the 28. That gives us a product of 700. In the next step, the person knows that they need to multiply the 3 in 35, which is worth 30, times the 8 in the ones place of the 28. They end up with 240. And then the final step, they realize, is the ones place, both the 5 and the 8. They're the ones place from the two numbers in our original problem. Together, all three of those pieces, 700, 240, and 40, get added together to give us a final total of 980. That means, friends, that both of these answers, as well as breaking the numbers apart, changing one number, and creating an equivalent problem, all have a final product of 980. The great news is that because you have so many strategies in your toolbox, you can use one to double-check the other. Now, I know that you might be sitting there and saying, but wait a minute, I go to Russian math, or I go to Kumon, or my 5th grade friend taught me this, or my mom and dad did homework with me and they taught me this other strategy, and you haven't mentioned it. Well, friends, we'll talk about that a little bit further, but likely they have taught you the standard algorithm for multiplication. It is something that we'll take a look at later this year, and once we've done it, that can be a strategy that you can use as well. At this point in time, the expectation is that all of you sitting there, you listening now, will have at least 2 strategies in your toolbox of the 4 that I just shared. If you want to take a minute, you can go back to the beginning of the video and review. Changing one number to make an easier problem, breaking the numbers apart, A or B, or creating an equivalent problem. Any of those 4 would be great for you to use. We will get to other strategies later this year, but for now we just want you to focus on those 4. That's all that you have to worry about. That's all for now. I hope you enjoyed your very first session of tutoring here on the iPad. This is your final feeling. Ta-ta for now. Done.